read that tweet, and it sounds to me like the tariffs that the president has announced are just the opening gambit, a very hardball position to take right up front, which will probably change later. Is that your reading?
I certainly hope it's a negotiating position and not a real policy. Imposing those type of tariff taxes on Americans punishes Americans and, frankly, doesn't give us much real leverage with those other countries. They'll just impose tariffs on our goods, and we'll end up with fewer jobs, higher cost of goods, and as somebody pointed out on Maria's show, could lead to the next Great Depression. I don't think the president wants that. He's done a great job of leading for growth with his tax cuts, and should ignore these advisors, kind of the protectionist jihad committee over at Commerce and USTR, and say, no, we're going to focus on trade, doing real trade that will help people. Better trade agreements are good. I'm glad he wants to do it. But this is a blunt instrument that will hurt Americans more than it'll hurt anybody overseas.
Well, if there is general agreement that America has been dumped on with cheap subsidized steel, for example, and or aluminum, what's the solution? If we don't impose a hardball tariff right up front, what's the solution to this dumping problem? I mean, it's been around for years.
Well, and the statistics show Canada and Mexico, they're just making less expensive. They're not dumping. They've got a good deal. They can make steel cheaper than we can. But China has been dumping. They're only 2% of the steel production. So a better course would be, let's just focus on China. And what we really don't like about China is they steal our intellectual property. So maybe put a 75% tariff. My friend Byron York has been suggesting that. And focus on China and negotiate a better deal with them.
But isn't it a heads up from the president? Hey, look, we're going to rearrange trade across the board because we don't think it's been practiced in our interests. Therefore, here's a warning shot across the bows. Get on board, fellas, because we're going to change things. I mean, that's where he's coming from, isn't it?
That's what he's trying to do. The problem is he had bad advice, and what he's tossing across the bow hurts us way more than it hurts them. And they'll know that and won't negotiate.
Okay, well, it's there. It looks like it's staying there, at least for the foreseeable future. Do you think we're going to have a depression? Is that your reading?
So I think we'll get away from this. The president's really wise about this in the end. He may have tossed it out there, but I don't believe he wants to hurt the automakers in Kentucky and Tennessee and Michigan, and they're the ones who will get hurt by that steel tariff. He's a good man. I think we'll get back to a realization we need this trade. Among other things, they don't count the services. You know, Stuart, they talk about all these imbalances. You and I get our haircuts, and we have an imbalance with our barber. We give him a lot of money, and he doesn't give us anything back. But we're very happy to do it because we like the way he cuts our hair. And those type of services happen all over the world, and we're actually a winner in that type of trade.
Okay, I'll try to include the haircut analogy in any analysis that we have in our trade situation here. David, thanks for joining us this morning. Good input.
Great to be with you.
Yes, sir. Joining us now is a market watcher.